And we are live. Welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast. You are joined by Parker and...
Aaliyah.
You want to try that again?
Aaliyah.
If you are new to the Content Swap Podcast, this is a podcast in which we assign each other a piece of content at the end of every episode, engage with it for the week, and then we reconvene on the weekend and talk about how that content was and share a little bit of fun facts. So before we get into it, we like to share a little news life update. So if you'd like to skip ahead to the content in the title, go ahead, check out the timestamps in the description of whatever platform you are watching or listening to this on, and skip ahead if you'd like. So without further ado, let's get into our life updates. You go first.
Okay. Lots going on. This weekend, my parents came to visit, which was a lot of fun. We did lots of Christmassy things. And yeah, it was overall a great time. Aside from that, I recently decided to read Harry Potter because as much as I love reading, I have never read any of the Harry Potters. I was never really into the movies either, but
you've seen all of those.
Yeah, I have seen all of those. But I don't know, something about this Christmas season, this holiday season has gotten me in the mood for Harry Potter. Sorry, my voice keeps going out. It's gotten me in the mood for Harry Potter. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy the first book, start with that. If I want to continue, then I'll continue. And the book that I got is this really beautiful, beautifully illustrated book. And I would have to go on Amazon to figure out who the illustrator was, what company it was that made this book. But it's so gorgeous and fun. And there's interactive paper elements in the book. And it's just so cool. And so it's making the experience of reading the book even more magical. And I am super excited for tonight to pick it back up and read it again. Cause yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Other than that, I don't think there's really anything else that I've engaged with. I started watching this Netflix Christmas movie called Family Switch with Jennifer Gardner and Ed Helms. Not feeling it.
I could hear it from the other room and was like, I don't know what that is, but
yeah,
it sounds not
it's
good. It's
very much a parent. No, sorry. What's that Lindsay Lohan movie where she swaps? Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday.
It's very much a Freaky Friday kind of movie. The children end up getting into the body of the parents and the parents in the body of the children. And I mean,
that sounds cute.
I mean, sure. I just wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't holding my attention. I was folding clothes while watching it, and I was just kind of what is this? What's going on? I
mean, I feel like anything that you're watching while folding clothes is instantly less interesting.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, so I didn't end up finishing the movie because then I had to go to a dinner. So I didn't get to finish it. I don't know that I will go back and finish it. I just don't care enough about it. So that was kind of a bummer. But there's lots of new things on Netflix that I want to watch. So I'm very excited to kind of dive into that when I have some time. But yeah, other than that, I think that's all that I've got.
Nice. Well, my update would be we got a new TV.
Woohoo!
Which I'm really excited about. Our old TV was a good size, but I think it was running 1080p. So I was kind of excited to get a new TV. I'd wanted one for a while. No disrespect to the old TV.
I love that old TV. It's been with me. I've had that old TV since my junior year of undergrad. And it's it's been with me through so many apartments, so many moves, so many journeys.
Yeah.
Seen it all. Seen me grow.
No disrespect to it because, it's yours and it's not mine. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining.
I'm oddly sentimental about TVs. I don't know what it is.
Which is the last thing that I would want to be sentimental about, But I'm glad we got the new one. We installed it yesterday with the help of your dad. Mm-hmm. It looks great.
It does.
It's got a super clear picture. The sound, okay. I did not expect the sound to be better.
Yeah.
But that is that makes such a difference.
That's the winner for me.
Yeah.
Everything else is okay, it's cool. It's great that the picture looks good. I'm not really particular about that. But that sound, I was all right. worth it.
Worth it, right?
Worth it.
Of all things.
Yeah.
Which is like something that's, it's like something that can be even more upgraded if you wanted.
Yeah. It doesn't need it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's right now sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really happy and excited about that. Now I just want to like use the TV. Obviously, I was using the TV a lot before, but now there's just like a totally different feel to like, oh, I want to watch all the things and this greater resolution and brighter colors. Wow.
Yeah. I will say, like, because lately we've been watching a lot of like our movies and stuff in bed, like with the TV that we have in our bedroom, but having this new TV does make me want to like get back to like when we were watching all of our movies like on the couch and but also I think that's just amplified by we have the Christmas tree up, so that's like making me want to like spend more time in the living room.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I'm like, maybe we should start watching all of our movies not in bed.
Well,
like,
the TV that was in the living room has now been moved to the bedroom, so the TV that was in the bedroom before is now looking for a home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's in the office right now, but it doesn't have anything to be on, so it's currently on the ground. So,
yeah.
But that means the TV in our bedroom, got a little upgrade as well,
Yeah.
because it's the old TV from the living room.
Yeah.
So,
It's-
viewing experience house-wide just got a little better.
Yeah. It's funny because when you were in a meeting and I was like hanging out with my parents, my dad was like, so what are you going to do with the TV that's in your bedroom? And I was like, I don't know. We're just going to put it in here for now. And he was like, can I have it? And my mom was like, Jeff, it's her TV. No, you can't have it.
I mean, he doesn't.
Every time we visit, he wants to take something that we own home. So it's just like become a joke. And she's like, every time we're here, you want to take something of theirs. It's funny.
Well, yeah, I'm excited to use the TV. I'm glad you brought up Netflix, because this is something I wanted to bring up. I was going to say, I started watching this show called Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. It's like 8 episodes. It's animated. It's about like Edo era Japan. It's very violent, but so far has been really interesting. I'm only 2 episodes deep into it. I definitely recommend it if anybody's interested in something like that. So far, it's really good. And I just feel like in general, Netflix is killing it right now. We had to get our own Netflix account because they did the whole password sharing thing, which was like, ugh. But then suddenly it was like, wait, like they're coming out with all this great content that's like specific to Netflix. And yeah, it just really feels like a premium subscription that we have right now. We watched Leo the other day, which was
Oh my gosh, so cute.
really cute. Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
I reviewed it higher than Loki season 2, significantly higher than Loki season 2, and our friend took very strong issue with that because apparently he really liked Loki season 2, and I thought it was aggressively okay. So yeah, what can you do? But yeah, Netflix is just going really hard right now, and I gotta say, like, I'm paying for Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Funimation, Paramount Plus. I get Apple TV through my family's iPhone or Apple family sharing thing. It's just like, but a lot of those I'm paying for, and it's just like, God, like.
I thought you canceled Paramount Plus.
We still have Paramount Plus. I actually do need to cancel that. I just upgraded. I guess my Disney Plus ran out because I was using some kind of like special promo with like that and Hulu for a while, and I think they updated it or something. So I had to renew my Disney Plus subscription today. And
Wait, why? I have Disney Plus.
You have Disney Plus?
Yes.
Well, but see, my whole family uses my Disney Plus.
Oh.
So, like, I have a responsibility.
I keep mine because my family and friends use my Disney Plus too.
Right. So, but that's what I'm getting at. It's like, I pay for Hulu, I pay for Disney Plus. I pay for both of those things together, but I don't use those things that much. I do use them enough to be like, I want to have access to those things.
Yeah.
But my family, they're the ones that are taking advantage of those subscriptions. I feel I need to start charging my family
I'm like, you
per
need
month.
to do what our family does. Whenever we're not using a thing, and like if we're the ones that pay for it, we're like, all right, somebody take it over, else it's getting canceled. And there's usually somebody who's like, no, I need it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah. So it's like, Yeah, I'd be okay with just paying for Netflix and Funimation. And like Prime Video, everybody's got Prime Video because if you got Amazon Prime, you got Prime Video, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm going to have that no matter what because I love my Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be happy with Netflix, Funimation, Prime Video, lock it down. And, you know, if a new season of The Bear or something comes out on Hulu, yeah, okay, I'll go over to Hulu. But I'm not actively watching anything on Hulu right now.
Well, we need to finish Lego Masters.
Oh, crap.
Only Matters in the Buildings is Hulu. Abbott Elementary is Hulu. Like, there's so many good shows that come out on Hulu.
And this is the problem. This is the
Yeah,
problem.
I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do it.
Okay,
I
never
can't
mind.
do
We do
it.
use Hulu.
Yeah.
It's just so expensive. I need to start charging people for this. This is
I
wild.
mean, it's cheaper than cable.
It is cheaper than cable, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm very much like my absolute must-haves is Max. I'm always on Max.
Yeah, Max, I do not pay for. I use
Mine.
my family account or yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, Netflix for a while I was never using. Now because they're releasing a bunch of stuff, I'm using it. But I go through phases of Netflix.
Same. I got it for live action One Piece, and then I just didn't use it for a while. And then somewhere around October, they started releasing a bunch of really good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been like consistent. And then now this month, they put a whole bunch of movies that are like on Max on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Really good options here.
Yeah.
I was looking at it today and I was like, whoa, what the heck? This is stacked.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. These streaming platforms, they got us sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hard to cancel it because as soon as you cancel one, you're like, oh, I want to watch this thing. Well, it's on that one that you canceled. So then you feel like you have to get it again.
Yeah, fingers crossed on a successful canceling of the Paramount Plus subscription.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I think it'll be fine.
Something will spring up in like a week, where it'll be like, I want to watch this movie and it's only on Paramount Plus. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Or I want to watch SpongeBob, or I want to watch Hey Arnold. We literally watched Hey Arnold like 3 nights ago for fun.
Yeah.
That's Paramount Plus. Anyway, as far as other things I wanted to talk about, I just want to say I finished Alan Wake 2. It was really good. Wrote a review. It won a bunch of awards at the Game Awards, which happened this past week. Lots of things were announced, which was, a fun, good time. Baldur's Gate 3 won a bunch of awards, won Game of the Year. But there were some cool announcements. So the new God of War game that came out a year ago, God of War Ragnarok, they're coming out with a free DLC the day that this podcast drops. And that is perfect. I'm very excited for that because, I want to play my PlayStation 5 games on my new TV, but we're going to be going out of town for a few weeks for Christmas. So it's like, okay, I can't just start something and then interrupt that experience for 3 weeks. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. God of War DLC comes out. I can play that for a week, hopefully get it done in a week. And that, it's just the perfect thing to come out at the right time. So, yeah, looking forward to all the content for the foreseeable future, honestly. That's just life at this point. Mm-hmm. Those are pretty much all my updates, other than I'm reading again. Wow. That's great. I'm looking forward to reading over the break as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yep, sounds good. I'm first.
You are first.
So getting into our assignments, I was assigned the movie The Holiday, and also as a refresher, over the next this week and then our next assignments, they are holiday picks, and so we'll be sharing with each other holiday movies.
Yep. And last week we also did holiday movies.
Yes, we also
or holiday stuff.
Yes. So continuing on, I was assigned The Holiday, which came out in 2006, and here is the synopsis for that movie. So,
and here is the synopsis. Here are the characters.
Yeah.
Directed by, sorry.
So Cameron Diaz plays Amanda, and she decides to go on a spontaneous vacation after finding out that her boyfriend was cheating on her. So she reaches out to a woman named Iris, played by Kate Winslet, and asks if Kate Winslet's cute little cottage in the English countryside is available for rental. So Kate Winslet, having been a little bit depressed because the man that she's in love with is getting married to another woman, agrees.
Getting married to another woman.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She agrees to let to let Cameron Diaz rent the house under the conditions that they actually swap houses. And so this is kind of where our story truly begins, because Cameron Diaz arrives in the UK and Kate Winslet arrives in Los Angeles. And the two kind of enjoy their little like solitary Christmas vacations. But they also stumble upon a few love interests. And so for Cameron Diaz, she meets Kate's brother named, let's say Kate's brother named Jude Law. No.
It's technically Iris's brother.
Yeah.
Iris is Kate Winslet's
Iris.
character.
I keep saying Kate because it's just easier to say Kate Winslet.
That's fair.
So she meets Kate Winslet's brother, played by Jude Law, but his name is Graham. And for Kate Winslet, she meets Cameron Diaz's like film composer colleague, Jack Black, who plays
Jack Black,
Jack Black, who plays Miles. And like within a week time frame, they all fall in love and live happily ever after.
Okay, it was 2 weeks, but yes.
All right, 2 weeks.
Your point is taken that it is all very fast.
Yes. So that's essentially the movie. And of course, there's like things in between. Just go watch a movie if you're interested or if you haven't seen it. So I wrote not a lot of notes about my thoughts on this movie, but I wrote a decent amount.
Okay, go on.
So I think overall, I did enjoy the movie.
Oh, that has a tone of like, but
I did think it was quite absurd. So first of all,
okay, this is a rom-com, a
Yes.
holiday.
Yes.
It's called The Holiday.
yes,
Rom-com.
but I still have a little bone to pick with it.
All right, pick your bone.
So really nothing happens in this movie, and the movie kind of heavily focuses on Cameron Diaz and Jude Law, and Kate Winslet's character and plotline feels kind of like an afterthought.
Okay. Kate Winslet's arc in this movie is, I guess, a little weak because her love stuff that she's dealing with is kind of like the secondary element of what her story ends up actually being, which is like befriending the neighbor who is this like famous Hollywood writer who feels like everybody's forgotten about him, and he's played by Eli Wallach, who is like, a legendary actor.
But it's still, when you're watching it as a viewer, and maybe this is because you come into the movie with the perception of this is a romance movie. I mean, the poster of the movie is Kate Winslet and Jack Black and Cameron Diaz and Jude Law. So I guess coming in with that perception of it, that's what I'm expecting to see. And what I will say, the thing that I loved most about this movie was that relationship that Kate Winslet had with this like older gentleman in Hollywood. However,
friendship,
platonic relationship.
Yeah.
But as I was watching the movie, I felt like all I was seeing was Cameron Diaz, and we'd get these really we'd spend so much time, like a lengthy amount of time of Cameron Diaz and Jude Law really doing nothing because they didn't do anything.
Well, they
aside from talk.
They blossomed a real intimate connection with each other.
That's another bone I have to pick, because like, what did they even really talk about? I feel like I didn't get to know either one of them other than like, oh, we find out Jude Law has kids. Cool. And like, that's like all I know from like.
All right, that's fair. It does feel like they fall in love due to just like plain old serendipity. Like it's, he happened to come over when he was drunk the weekend that his kids were with the grandparents.
Yeah.
So he stays over, and she, through circumstances, having recently had her heart broken, decides I'm going to do things with this man right now because I'm gonna live in the moment.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, I don't feel like these characters really get to know each other. All we see them talk about is their past relationship and why they're here at this moment in time talking to this person.
Yeah.
But we don't actually get, like, you don't see him getting to know who she is as a person. You don't see her really getting to know who he is as a person.
Right.
You're just
they're both just two like attractive people.
Yeah, they're both just like, oh, I'm a widower, and so like I haven't found a person who like makes me feel what I felt for my previous wife, and like, oh, my boyfriend cheated, and like, I don't know if I want to commit to somebody. Like, that's all we learn.
Right. Like the focus, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the focus is on like what are their demons that they are struggling with, and then like overcoming those demons. But then like the overcoming of them requires them to fall in love with this other person.
Yeah. And it's like, you're not going to fall in love just by saying, I was heartbroken, now love me. Like, that's not how it works.
Right,
like, no.
right.
So it's just like, we focus so much on, I feel like watching the movie, I saw a lot of Cameron Diaz and Jude Law not talking about anything, but somehow falling in love. And then like, we would briefly get these snippets in between of Kate Winslet, and like, she has this friendship with this older man, but at the same time, like, for a lot of the time she's not with the older man. Like, there's a few moments where, you know, they have like a little gathering together, or like she briefly talks to him, but it's kind of like her being like, oh, I watched a list of movies that he gave me, or like whatever. And then like Jack Black also is just kind of sprinkled in, like, and like whenever he pops into the movie, he's like in love with another woman. So it's like he's not even trying to like fall in love with Kate Winslet. Like, they don't even
They're
really
building
have
a friendship by just being quirky and weird with each other.
Yeah, but then at the end of the movie, I'm supposed to believe that Jack Black and Kate Winslet are now in love, and it's like, well, you all didn't
maybe
like,
not in love, but they're like interested in each other. They're like, wow, you're a good person.
I guess, but like, that's hard to believe when like 5 minutes prior, Jack Black's crying over this other woman, you know?
He was not crying over that other woman.
Well, he was very sad and like drinking, and was just like, what's going on? Why did she do this to me? And Kate Winslet's like, oh, I know how you feel, because I'm so heartbroken, and like, my ex actually showed up to LA.
Yeah,
and, like,
her ex, the man who was getting married to another woman, decides to show up saying all this manipulative stuff.
Yeah.
And
then she finally like comes into her own. And so like, and that's another thing too. It's
all right,
like,
this is a movie.
okay, I'm just sharing my thoughts.
All right, go on. I know.
And so that's another thing that I had to pick with this movie, because what I would have loved to see, I wish Kate Winslet didn't have a love interest at all. I wish Jack Black, I mean, as great as Jack Black is, I wish he wasn't in this movie, because I think what would have been more, I guess, interesting to watch would to see Kate Winslet become empowered, which we like kind of get. Like, she has that moment where her ex comes to LA and she's like, hold up a minute. Like, absolutely not. You're not about to treat me like this. And like, I wish that like her plot was more of her finding herself through the help of this, you know, platonic relationship she has with this older man, through like realizing how trash her ex was. And like, I wish there wasn't that like expectation of, okay, we gotta wait and find her like fall in love with Jack Black. Like, I don't know, it just like would have been more empowering to me to see that. And like, I don't think it needed to be, you have the Cameron Diaz romance, which is fine, and that was fun to watch. Like, let Kate Winslet have her own kind of thing.
I get it. I mean, I think by putting, I totally understand everything that you're saying. Like, you could take Jack Black's character out of this movie and still tell the same core story.
Exactly.
And I feel like the reason from a writing perspective to put him in is because of the setup of the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, it's two people swap homes, and you want both of and they're both heartbroken. You want their experiences to like mirror each other. Yeah. But like, I guess the old man is not Arthur, I think his character's name was. Arthur's not really kind of like that same reflection that's going to help her, I guess, like fall in love at the end of the movie, like, you know, Jack Black being in the movie would be, to match like Cameron Diaz's experience with Jude Law, which is much more like the central romance of the movie, kind of driving the whole romantic subplot, I guess, forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Jack Black. I like his character in this movie.
I mean, I do like his character. He's very sweet in the movie. He's very like, I like his character, but I just like, I don't know. Like I said, I just think like not every person needs to fall in love in a movie. I think there's something very powerful about people who don't fall in love. Like, romance is not what they're here to accomplish. Like, it's like they're here to accomplish like finding themselves and like becoming a new person within themselves.
But I mean, like, by the end of the movie, they still don't really emphasize that romance between Kate Winslet and Jack Black all that much. Like, it's kind of like the blossoming. The end of the movie is like a potential blossoming of something new between them, rather than like, oh yes, we're doing this thing like Cameron Diaz and Jude Law
Right,
have,
right.
which is like
It's
the
not as
traditional
strong.
ending.
Right. It's not as strong, but it's still like we know that that's what they're trying to get us to do. They're trying to get us to believe that like, oh, there might be something there. Oh, they're gonna try to be together.
And that's that little extra snippet that you add at the end to make it ultimately this like dual juxtaposing experience between our two leads.
No, showcase two women who have two different journeys.
It's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like at the end of the day, it's a movie that is all about like two women swapping houses for 2 weeks. It's a rom-com, so they gotta fall in love, or at least one of them's gotta fall in love. In 2006, I don't think I could have seen it. I don't think the studios would have gone for it,
Yeah.
if Jack Black wasn't in there to really kind of reflect the gimmick.
Sure. But if we end up doing like a modern take on this movie, I suggest one person can not have the romance. Their romance is with themselves, finding self-love. Well, that's the romance.
That's the core of her story, is self-love.
Right. But then it just gets undermined but she also has to have a man, Like,
but we don't even know if they end up working out. They just become friends, and it's like a cute thing.
That's the point. Or else they wouldn't put the two characters on the cover of the poster.
That's true.
So, like, it is the point. That's what they want us to believe, is that she finds love in Jack Black. Obviously, we're seeing the beginning stages of that, but that is still the point. And I don't want it.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Also, some more notes on Jude Law. So first of all, I did not know who Jude Law was. And maybe that's shocking. I don't know how big of a person he is.
You didn't even recognize him?
No, I didn't know who
he's like a real actor.
I didn't know who that man was. So in the past few weeks, I've been seeing people post on Instagram like, it's Jude Law season. And I was like, I don't know who that man is. I didn't even know what the movie was from. Now I realize it's from The Holiday. But so we're watching the movie, and I was like, and I kept saying this. I was like, I don't think I like him. Something about him. I don't like him. But then he put on glasses, and I was like, oh, I love him.
Oh, my God.
And it was like that small little detail of him putting on some glasses. And then we see that he has kids, and then he does this like thing where he puts a piece of paper over his face.
A napkin over his face.
Yeah, a napkin over his face. And that was really cute. And I was like, all right.
Like, Daddy, do Mr. Napkin Head.
Yeah.
He's like, all right. I've got a napkin.
Yeah. So that I was like, okay, now you all have me sucked in. But what I will say, where he lost me, is the fact that he is literally like telling Cameron Diaz, like, I'm in love with you. You're like the only person I've ever felt feelings for like this, aside from my wife, and I want to be with you, and let's figure it out. And I was like, sir,
babe,
no,
it's because,
okay. I was like, sir, first of all, it's been 2 weeks. If you think you're in love, okay, cool. I won't shame you for that. But also, you have kids. So I feel like, and this is my own opinion. Obviously, anyone can disagree. But I'm like, when you have kids, you I feel like you have to kind of take things a little bit slow, because you have other people to think about. And I was like, sir, you are showing up at this woman's house talking about how madly in love you are, and like, y'all need to do this. First of all, she lives in LA. That's a whole other thing to figure out, which like they do talk about, like, oh, it's Cameron Diaz is like, well, this is complicated because, all these factors. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not listening. I'm in love. Let's do it. I'm like, okay. A little scary.
All I'm saying is that it's a rom-com that takes place in the span of 2 weeks. You know exactly what you're going to get. You're thinking too hard about it. We're here for this cheesy kind of like, oh, yeah, now they're in love story,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's incredibly unrealistic. That's not how it would play out in real life.
Yeah.
But that's not why we go to the movies. We go for escapism and
Sure.
suspension of disbelief.
Sure.
And that movie has this. This movie has that in spades.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was definitely being a bit critical of this movie for a rom-com. But I don't know. It's like I couldn't. I just like it kept getting in my way of like fully just like letting myself go with the story. I was like, what?
I mean,
What?
I think what I really like about this movie is all of the references to Hollywood. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's, in on the joke with
Yeah.
a lot of stuff in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the degree that like Tropic Thunder is, but
I love that movie.
But it kind of has a little bit of that like
Yeah.
self-aware essence.
Yeah.
It's self-aware, but also kind of like celebrating a little bit of Hollywood with the story going on with Arthur in LA.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, to me that kind of like elevates it up a little bit in comparison to your usual rom-com.
For sure. I agree.
Like it feels like it was the premiere rom-com that year.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I mean, I love the aesthetics, especially any scene with Cameron Diaz because she was in that beautiful little cottage, like my dream home, and was wearing some really great sweaters. And yeah, I was like, oh, I love the way this makes me feel.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah, I guess so. I was like, it gave me pause in a few areas, but I guess overall, like that's what I said. Overall, I think I did enjoy it. There was just some things that I was like, yeah, I think I enjoyed it.
You think?
The test of whether or not I enjoyed it or not is if come next year I want to watch it again.
That's fair. All right. Okay.
So yeah.
I hear you.
But as of right now, I think it would be something that I would want to watch the next year.
All right.
Also, it was playing at our local like old school theater in like the downtown area.
The Alamo Draft House.
No. It's playing at the Paramount.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was also playing at the Alamo
It was
Draft
playing at
House.
Alamo Draft House. But I also, when we were walking, saw that they were doing a showing as well. And I was like, oh, that could be fun.
People like the holiday.
Oh, I know people love the holiday.
Okay, anyway. Should I go into my facts then?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, so suppose the movie was written and directed by Nancy Meyers, who somewhat of a legend in the rom-com field of filmmaking. She's known for works such as The Parent Trap, Something's Gotta Give, It's Complicated. She also made The Intern, which maybe not quite a rom-com, but does kind of have this, like, there's a very consistent feel between all of those movies.
Yeah.
She's working on a new movie called Paris Paramount, which is going to star Michael Fassbender, Scarlett Johansson, Owen Wilson, and Penelope Cruz. So I'm looking forward to that because it feels like, hey, maybe that could actually be a good rom-com, assuming it's a rom-com. I think it's going to be a rom-com. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we just have a lot of we don't have a lot of good rom-coms come out anymore. So
Yeah. I enjoyed It's Complicated.
Yeah, sure. But that came on like 2009. I'm talking about like a
That's
2023 or 2024, 25.
Yeah.
Like this level of, the holiday level of
Yeah.
rom-com coming out now, which we just don't really have.
We
Even
got
though
this little Sydney Sweeney thing
right,
coming out.
right. Even though the holiday is like, as we just said, like, not the greatest movie of all time, but like there is a certain echelon of quality that I think it is hitting.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen rom-coms like that come out for a while. So I would be I would look forward to a new movie from Nancy Meyers.
Yeah. I want a modern day When Harry Met Sally. I mean, obviously I don't want it to be the same story. Like I want it to be innovative, but like I want something that gives me that feeling of When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like Nancy Meyers has kind of carved out her own kind of writing, directing niche the same way that Nora Ephron did.
Yeah.
Who wrote and directed When Harry Met Sally and, a bunch of other legendary rom-coms.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. All right, other facts. The movie was written with each of the four actors in mind.
Wow.
Yeah, so that worked out. Kate Winslet and the guy. So the guy who she was in love with, who in this movie, who's getting married to another woman. He's played by Rufus Sewell. Mm-hmm. And apparently before they even did this movie together, they actually were previously in a real life romantic relationship.
Oh my gosh, did it end well?
I mean, it must. So. Yeah, it must be if they're filming scenes together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Other fun facts. HomeExchange.com is the website that they use to swap houses in the movie, which was indeed a real website, and I looked it up, is still a real website.
Wow.
However, house swapping after this movie came out became so popular that the authorities in England had to warn people about swapping houses with strangers because of potential identity fraud or murder.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I would participate in a house swap.
Right. No.
Absolutely not.
Troll 2, they do a house swap. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, they do.
So house swapping's been around for a while.
Yikes.
Troll 2 came out in the 80s, for context. It's also a very bad but good movie. All right, other fun facts. Amanda, Cameron Diaz's character, her house in L.A. is massive.
Yeah.
The interiors of the house were actually built on a soundstage, which I thought was interesting.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. The interiors of Kate Winslet's little cottage are also in L.A.
What? In a real house?
No.
Oh.
I believe they were also shot on a sound. Yeah. It says UK interiors were shot on a soundstage in LA. So maybe the cottage was, no, wait. No. I remember. I have it here. The Rose Hill Cottage, which is the name of Kate Winslet's house that Cameron Diaz stays in, does not actually exist, but there was a note about, if it did exist, it would actually be worth a lot more than the film kind of gives it credit for.
Yeah.
Because it's like this perfect cottage in the countryside.
So quaint, so cute.
Yep.
I like, oh my gosh, I just want that to be my life. I'm like, Kate Winslet, you have the best life. She was all excited to go to LA. I was like, no, I don't want that.
Right. I mean, she kind of has this like beautiful cottage for like
gorgeous.
No reason, like Cameron Diaz. It makes sense that her character owns a trailer editing company in LA. Makes sense that she would have a big house. And Kate Winslet like lives in the UK.
Yeah.
So, and then they just give her like this perfectly quaint cottage in the countryside for no apparent reason other than to just, why not?
Make it different.
There's no reason that she owns that, but she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like every person in the UK lives in a place like that.
Yeah.
So, other fun facts. Cameron Diaz admitted in the special features for this movie that this was the most physical performance she had to do because of all the running she had to do. There are scenes where like she has to run to get back together with Jude Law at the end of the movie. Not get back together with him, but she's like leaving and then she decides, no, I want to stay. And she has to run the whole way. And I guess that was so much running that she considered it like, one of the most physical performances she's ever had to do. You'd think like Charlie's Angels would be it, but anyway. Apparently, Robert Downey Jr. and Jimmy Fallon auditioned to play Graham and Miles, where RDJ would have been Jude Law's character, and Fallon would have been Jack Black's character.
Thank God that didn't happen.
Right. Apparently, RDJ said, like, oh yeah, I think I got this in the bag. Like my British accent's probably better than Jude Law's at this point. And apparently when he did it in front of Kate Winslet, she told him it was like the worst British accent she'd ever heard.
I'm glad she humbled him.
Right. But then he ended up doing all those Sherlock movies. So
and
Sherlock Holmes
Dr.
movies.
Dolittle.
And Dr. Dolittle. Yeah. So, joke's on her. He still had a leading role in something with a British accent.
Goodness. Maybe he got additional like Maybe he got a dialect coach or something.
Right. I mean,
after that,
I think Sherlock Holmes came out like 2 or 3 years later, so you know, gave him some time to practice. Final fact: Dustin Hoffman has a cameo in this movie in the blockbuster when Kate Winslet and Jack Black are looking for movies to watch together, and Jack Black picks up a copy of The Graduate, which Dustin Hoffman was in, and starts singing like the Mrs. Robinson song. And Dustin Hoffman like sees them and is like, oh, I can't go anywhere, overhearing them talk about, you know, The Graduate. So apparently that cameo was done because Dustin Hoffman just kind of happened to be driving by the Blockbuster at that time, and he saw all the cameras set up filming something. He's like, oh, what are they filming? He's like, oh, Nancy's doing this movie. I know Nancy. And so him and her got to talking, and they made a little makeshift scene, and then boom, he was in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are all my facts.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess we'll wait to see next year if you want to rewatch this movie.
Probably. It was cute.
We'll see.
It was cute.
Yeah. Are you going to rewatch Candy Cane Lane next year?
No.
All right. Cool. Got it. Okay. Well, those are all my facts.
Awesome.
Shall we move on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, moving along, I was assigned The Best Man Holiday. This came out in 2013. Mm-hmm. It is a sequel to a movie called The Best Man, which came out in 1999. So I'm going to very quickly summarize The Best Man. I've only seen like the end of The Best Man and had it explained to me pretty thoroughly by you. So I think these are all just the beats that I need to hit. So in The Best Man, a character named Harper wrote a book about how he slept with his best friend's wife-to-be, who's Mia is her name. Mm-hmm.
Slept with her.
Give me a second.
Okay.
He slept with her when Mia and his best friend had just kind of started dating, maybe weren't officially quite dating yet, but she wanted, for whatever reason, to kind of like get back at Lance or like hurt him a little bit. So she slept with his best friend Harper, but then, you know, it was like a one-time thing a long time ago. And then her and Lance actually ended up developing a relationship, you know, got married or were, you know, going to get married. Lance finds out, wants to basically like kill Harper, and they make up. Everybody makes up. It's Lance has to power through it, power through his emotions, but they get married. And there's a whole bunch of side characters as well. Just part of this big old friend group. Yeah, did that sound right?
Yeah. There's a little bit of background on some of the side characters that happened in the first movie that trickles into this movie.
Sure. I gotta say, I did not write a ton in my summary of Best Man Holiday. I did not write a ton about the side characters. We can talk about them because they're not really like central to the plot. They are there. I'll talk about my thoughts about that in a second.
Yeah.
All right, so fast forward 14 years because Best Man Holiday is a direct sequel that came out in 2013 to a 1999 movie. So in The Best Man Holiday, now everybody's career has developed. They're all a little bit older. Some of them have kids. Their whole friend group is now, you know, back, the whole friend group, and they're spending Christmas at Lance and Mia's house. And Lance, by the way, is a big-time football player, so their house is massive. So you got the whole crew there. On the men's side, you have Taye Diggs as Harper. There's Morris Chestnut as Lance. There's Terrence Howard and Harold Perrineau as well. And then there's some white guy named Eddie. I don't know who that guy is. And then on the women's side, we got Monica Calhoun, Sanaa Lathan, Nia Long, Regina Hall, and Melissa D'Souza. So basically, everybody has their own stuff going on, but the central focus is on Harper and Lance. Harper, being the main character, hasn't really written a best-selling book in years, and he got laid off at NYU where he was teaching, so he needs something big to write about. and his publisher suggests that he writes a biography on his best friend, the football player Lance Sullivan, who is like the biggest football player in the world right now and is about to break the record for the most rushing yards and is set to do so on Christmas Day. So there's a bit more going on that brings everybody together, and things get deep, and ultimately we find out that Mia is sick, and everybody is very distraught, obviously, over it. And it kind of brings everybody together, helps them kind of realize how petty some of their squabbles are in comparison to, somebody's life. So it all culminates in a big Christmas Day football game where Lance breaks the record, wins the game, but then Mia passes away. And also Harper's wife was pregnant the whole time, and she has a baby, and they name her Mia. So that's like when you strip everything out, like that's the story of the movie. There is a story though for like each side character kind of has their own growth or thing to focus on, except maybe Terrence Howard's character. I think he's got the least going on. He's there to just be supportive and be funny.
Yeah.
And he is great in this movie.
Yeah.
But so what I like about, there's a story for each side character, and all of their interactions, there is like story to support their conversations. And what I like about it is that the movie altogether really just kind of feels like some old friends getting together to have a good time making a movie. Everybody from The Best Man coming back and making another movie together. And it just like, it feels like a movie where everybody making it had a good time. Mm-hmm. And I really, really like that about it. Each story thread may belong to individual characters or couples, but the outcome of those threads has an impact on the relationships between all of the characters and like other people in the friend group, but all in like a very positive way. Like there's positive development. Like this guy may be struggling with this thing with his wife, but then the end of that story culminates in like this other woman who's been kind of like a butthead to everybody, helps him out, and kind of, I guess they had a previous romance in the other movie, and she like kind of apologizes for being like the worst. And yeah, everybody just kind of comes together and is there to support each other every step of the way through all of their struggles. And I really liked that. I think few sequels can come out especially after such a long time, to tell a story that kind of like validates its existence. And this is also like a holiday movie, so like you'd think that maybe the bar is low with this being like a sequel after so long, make it a holiday movie, like, that's gonna suck. But then no, it's actually like conveying the story with this like power that I think is really unexpected given, the scenario around the whole, like what the movie is, Yeah, so it's like it's good, and like I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I also wrote this note that like when Harper's wife is giving birth and you don't know, like they're adding, it's like at the end of the movie, like Mia's already passed away, but now suddenly she's giving birth, and it's like, oh my god, like they've already killed off a main character, and we've got this like stress of like, is it gonna go well with the baby? And I'm like, oh, like they've already killed somebody, like all bets are off, we don't know. So
yeah.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was a very entertaining movie. I got a kick out of it. I mean, like I said, strip everything away, there is like just kind of one story going on, but everybody's got their own struggles, and it kind of just like validates everybody being in the movie, and it interweaves in all of their relationships with each other. And yeah, I thought it was great. I'm like, yeah, let's watch this again next year. It's meeting my bar for watching next year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it. You like went to the bathroom and my dad was like, "Do you think he likes the movie?"
Yeah, we watched it with your parents too,
Yeah.
which made it extra fun because your dad was just cracking up. We've watched very few movies with your dad before.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like somebody that
He
loves
doesn't
to
love
watch movies that much.
Unless
yeah.
they're about like cops.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the whole time he was like cracking up, saying like, Terrence Howard in this movie is all that. Like he's hilarious, and like he was, know. So it was great. It was just a good time.
And he's like so excited to listen to this episode. He's like, I want to know
of the podcast. Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
But yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and like I feel like among everyone I know who has seen like The Best Man and The Best Man Holiday, it's like The Best Man Holiday we prefer over the first one.
Yeah,
like the first one's great, and obviously it sets up the dynamics between everybody. But this one it's just like so fun. It's like so much more intense. Like the fun parts are even more fun. I feel like the first one kind of takes on more of like drama rather than like comedy. I mean, you still have Terrence Howard who like provides the comedic relief, but it feels a little bit more, I guess, serious in tone for majority of the movie. Versus this one, like the comedic parts are like super funny, and then like the serious parts are like really just like gut wrenching, emotional, like punching like that. And so it's just like you just go on these like super intense up and downs in this movie, and it's just done like so well.
Yeah. Right, and they're all just kind of having fun. You know, like there's just this like banter between the characters. Like it's very believable. Like it really feels like I'm watching a movie where all of these people are friends.
Yeah.
And like for them to be playing the same characters that they played in one movie 14 years ago, but having it feel like they're playing them so faithfully and like maintaining the dynamics between all the characters. I think that was really impressively done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of my favorite parts of this movie is all the men do this like dance performance for the ladies to the song "Can You Stand the Rain," and they have these like sequin suits on and like fedoras, and like their choreography, like their dance moves were so on point. Just like it was so fun. I was like, I want to get together with a group of friends and like have like a dance, like a choreographed dance.
Yeah, they said they were playing a game and it was air band. Yeah, and that's why they were doing it, right? Yeah. I've done something like that before. Like when I used to work at a mental health clinic, we had an activity where we got into teams and we like choreographed lip syncing dances to songs. Yeah. And we all, competed. I gotta say, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, we did it one year for Christmas. Was it Christmas or Thanksgiving? It was during the pandemic. So like our families, we have like a bigger kind of, I think it was Thanksgiving. Usually we have a bigger kind of gathering at my parents' house for Thanksgiving with a bunch of extended family. But because of the pandemic, obviously, everyone kind of stayed in their own homes. And so we did a thing where we all created like choreographed dances and singing routines, or like lip singing routines, to different, whatever song we wanted to, as like our individual families. And we just like went on Zoom and had a competition, and that was a lot of fun. Like me and my family like practiced for like days. Like I choreographed the whole thing. Like we all had our little parts, our little sections. Even my grandma was in it. It was like so much fun. I love stuff like that because it's just so fun and like funny. And yeah, I don't know, that part's like, I think that part is like the most iconic part in the movie. Like when people think about that movie, they think about that scene.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, my nose is like getting stuffed up. But yeah, are you ready for facts?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So like you said, the first movie came out in 1999, so it's been about 14 years. The director of both the movies is Malcolm D. Lee, who is the cousin of Spike Lee.
Oh, interesting.
Which is like super cool. I'm like, wow, what a like phenomenal family. Like, they're just awesome. And so for this movie, in its first weekend of release, in the US, the film earned like almost double its entire production budget. So the budget was approximately $17 million. Opening weekend, it made around $30 million. And then gross, it made about $70 million. However, even though this movie was like super successful, well, yeah, I mean, I guess compared to like, really big movies, and
Sure,
maybe not so
sure,
much.
sure.
But since this movie was like really popular, it's kind of surprising because in an interview, Taye Diggs mentions that like they weren't really paid well to be in this movie. And he said that they were basically like paid like half of what they're worth, but like they all did it because of how meaningful the movie was to like the culture. And yeah, they're like, it was a thing we started, and like we want to continue to like have that legacy, and like have this movie available.
Yeah.
With people who like are not as represented in Hollywood as much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, wow, that's the one sad that like they weren't compensated very well. I think in that interview, Taye Diggs was like, at this point, like Terrence Howard was like Oscar nominated, like we really probably should have.
Yeah,
been paid.
I was thinking about that. I was like, how crazy is that this cast of people made a movie together in 1999, and that like all of them became as successful on their own as they did in that 14-year span between movies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're all so phenomenal. So it really sucks that they didn't get compensated probably what they deserved, but I appreciate that they still did the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's phenomenal. It's great.
Yeah.
And so a third movie was supposed to come out that was going to be titled The Best Man Wedding, and it was announced in 2014. It was set to be released in 2016, but that didn't end up happening. And instead, in 2022, they came out with a limited series on Peacock called The Best Man, The Final Chapters, and it basically kind of picks up where this movie left off. So at the very end of this movie, we see Terrence Howard calling Harper, and he's like, hey, just want to let y'all know I'm getting married. And it's like, oh my gosh, like Terrence Howard's getting married, because his character is just like so silly, like does like just kind of dates around,
right?
Like is not someone who would commit to getting married. And so it's like, oh my gosh, what? And that's kind of where this movie ends. And so yeah, this show kind of picks back up where we leave off. He's getting married. I guess they all get back together for this wedding of his, and who knows what happens in terms of like what goes on with them. But I thought for some reason this show was coming out this year, because I hadn't heard about it until earlier this year.
Yeah, I thought it was coming out this year.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it. So like the marketing must have been like pretty bad.
Have you watched it? Is it any good?
I have not watched it. I am very curious to watch it. I really want to watch it. So now that I know that it is already out,
if I look it up right now, do you want to know if it's any good? Or do you want to just find out on your own?
Well, I want to just watch it. I don't really like to like look at reviews, because I always feel differently than what reviews say for the most part.
Okay.
So I want to just watch it on my own.
Yeah. I'd watch it with you. Looking at it now. Let's just put it that way.
Oh my gosh.
I'd watch it with you.
So yeah, I want to see it. And yeah. So that's really all the facts that I have. I do have a question for you.
Go for it.
Who was your favorite character?
Ooh, interesting question. Favorite character? I mean, it would probably be between Harper, played by Taye Diggs, and Quentin, played by Terrence Howard.
Really?
Well, so I mean, Harper is like the the emotional core of the movie. Like him and Morris Chestnut, Lance.
Yeah.
What they have is the emotional core of the movie.
Yeah.
And I identify more with Harper's character than I would with Lance's character, because Lance is Lance is kind of this like jock guy who, well, not jock guy, but like, he's a big football player. I understand everything. I understand everything about him.
Yeah.
But I can't, I guess, like emotionally identify with how he copes through the whole thing.
Sure.
And I mean, maybe it's just from like Harper being the main character. I feel like I can like feel for him a little bit more, though I do think he does make a lot of mistakes. Like he wants to write this biography on Lance, and doesn't tell him, and he's kind of asking him all these leading questions. He's doing all of this work before even asking to get approval and doing it, which is like a big mistake.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, like, yeah, he is the main character of the movie, and he's kind of like the reason we're here for the story. So, but then at the same time, it's like, well, Terrence Howard is doing a phenomenal job just being hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that.
Got you. That's interesting. I did not anticipate you saying Harper. I feel like for me, Harper is very frustrating. Both Harper and
Sure.
Lance, which is like the point. They're but like they're both Harper and Lance are like, I guess the best word is like prideful in their own ways.
Right.
And that's why there's so much
Right.
tension. Like
I like their relationship. Like
yeah,
those two characters.
Yeah. Like Harper drives me nuts because yeah, he does do like literally everything wrong, and it feels like it's out of stubbornness because you have people who are like telling him, maybe you should talk to Lance. Maybe you should like treat your wife better. Like, like people are telling him, but like he just like can't get himself to listen and to like.
But I feel like that is organic.
Sure. Yes.
Which is what I like about it.
For sure. It's definitely like believable. It's definitely like kind of realistic. But it can be hard to watch sometimes because you're like, like you would not be facing this problem if you would just talk, if you would just listen, if you would just do what everyone's telling you to do. And then Lance is very kind of like, he's a very disciplined man and very like, I'm all about my faith. I'm all about my family. I'm all about my football, which is like literally what he says.
Yeah. He literally gets asked, what are your 3 priorities and values in life? And he says, God, family, football.
Yeah. But it's like, which is great that he cares about those things. But it's also, he's so like hyper focused on those things to where like he becomes like, he's so resentful to Harper and like can't forgive, and like he's just so like unmoving in that sort of sense. And Mia's like, literally, why are you not upset? Like, I also acted in this. Like, you need to be upset at me. Like, you can't not be upset at me,
right,
and forgive me and not forgive him. And so yeah, that's frustrating. But I feel like my favorite character is Julian.
Interesting.
I absolutely love Julian. He makes a huge mistake in this movie. Don't get me wrong. But it's out of like, I feel like his mistake.
We have not talked about Julian at all. Can we fill in the gaps?
Yes. So Julian's played by Harold Perrineau. Yeah. And basically in the first movie, his character, he's like a very sweet, caring man. Kind of like, he's like the unproblematic one in the group. Like,
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, he's just there. He's just a nice guy. He's just friends with them. But in the first movie, he's dating a girl named Shelby, who was played by Melissa D'Souza. And she's terrible. Like, she's just like very selfish, very a little high maintenance. Like, she's just kind of mean and a bully. And so like, his big thing in the first movie is that he finally breaks up with her because he realizes he deserves better. And he meets Candace, who's played by Regina Hall. And Candace in the first movie is a stripper. But in this movie, she doesn't strip anymore, and she like helps him run this like nonprofit pretty much. And they work together, and they're like such a beautiful family. However, like in this movie, his big kind of conflict is that like one of his really big donors for the nonprofit finds out that his wife was a stripper, and there was this video that was taken of her at this frat party, obviously a very long time ago, and he is like distraught because like he doesn't want to see his wife's video out there for like other like I was like hundreds of thousands of people were watching it.
Yeah.
So like that's like messing him up a bit. Also, he's stressed because now this donor who usually donates like $2 million has pulled out, and he needs to find this money or else they can't accomplish what they want to accomplish with their nonprofit. So he's like stressed out the whole time about this thing, and he's trying to hide it from his wife because he doesn't want his wife to know that this has happened. And it gets to a point where he ends up saying something really hurtful to her that basically like reveals that he knows that she maybe in this one instance like got paid to sleep with someone.
Yes.
And it's a terrible scene because you just feel so bad for her, but like you also feel for him like too, which it sounds like weird because he just said this horrible thing, but I also like, I don't know, I kind of felt for him because it's like
in that scene I did not feel for him. Let's put it that way.
I did like I think I only felt for him because I know how much he cares about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it would be a really hard thing if you saw a video of your partner
right
in this certain situation and it's not private, you know, like that's something that like you all might share, you know, your past with each other, but you don't want that kind of thing out there for everyone else to see, everyone, you know, seeing your wife. And so I understand why it got to, I guess, let me put it that way. I understand why it got to him to where he like might come out and say something like that. I think it was absolutely horrible and I hate that he did it. And like, it's like gross that he did it, but I understand how he got to that point. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I think he's like a very redeemable character. I think of everybody, like, it's just like, dang, he just really messed up in this at this one moment.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that he's the least problematic character, and I think that's, to me, what, you know, maybe didn't make him stand out compared to the struggles that everybody else is having.
Sure.
When asked who's my favorite, like, he didn't even make the list.
I think he's just my favorite because he's so sweet.
That's great.
Like,
that's great.
Unproblematic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I love Terrence Howard. Like, he's funny in this movie. He's a mess, but like,
well,
yeah.
Shelby, Julian, Harold Perrineau, Shelby, his ex-girlfriend, ends up, she kind of redeems herself by donating a bunch of money to his nonprofit at the end of the movie. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, how like the end of their story threads does culminate in like a positive development in the relationships with the characters between themselves.
Yeah.
I actually really liked Shelby's character.
Really? I don't, because like,
I mean, she's the worst. She's awful.
Yeah,
but she's
awful.
very entertaining.
She's awful, which I think is why I like Julian so much.
She has a character arc in the movie.
Well, okay. Hold on, let me get to that. I think that's also another reason why I like Julian, because in the whole time during this movie, Shelby's also harassing him at the same time too, and just making things worse. Like, because his wife obviously knows their previous, you know, relationship, and like Shelby's just like doing the most and just causing unnecessary drama, and like, yeah, I'd be like, if I were him, I'd be so stressed. Like, I would just be like, so stressed. But
I wouldn't want to be friends with her. But in watching the movie, for me as a viewer, with the viewer experience, I am getting more from her character than I am from his character, just because she's providing all this entertainment value. And then she turns things around for herself at the end of the movie and kind of redeems herself. Whereas like his struggle is much more just like he's in the same spot as he was at the from beginning to the end, you know.
No, he realizes he messed up.
He doesn't really learn anything. He just gets helped out and maybe said one bad thing to his wife in one scene, but like,
okay,
you can understand why.
That's fair. For me, Shelby's like turnaround wasn't believable. Like, to me, it was very like, I don't know. I think the way it came off is just like, oh, I know I messed up, I'm sorry. You know, like, it was very kind of like...
she's just doing her petty BS through the whole movie, and then there's, like, one scene where her daughter is like, Mom, why are you being so crazy? This doesn't feel like Christmas to me, and, like, starts to cry, and you're like, dang. And then her character really starts to turn things around. And, like...
But turn things around... Put that loosely.
Yeah.
Very loosely.
She starts acting a little more responsibly after that.
She just calms down a little bit. But like, I don't know. It just didn't, like, for me, the character, it's like, she realizes she's messed up. She has to say something. So she's like, I'm sorry. And that's it. Like, I don't know. It just like it wasn't giving enough for me.
Okay.
I was like, you had a whole fist fight with Regina Hall. Like, I need you to give more than just like, oh, here's some money, I'm sorry. You know?
Well, if it was $2 million, then I mean, like,
sure. That's very helpful.
What's the price that she needs to pay?
That's very helpful. But yeah, I don't know. Internal, like, her internal being, her
Yeah.
personality is still like the same.
Yeah.
It's just she apologized and like offered a donation. But
some characters have more going on in this movie than others, I will say.
Yeah.
I wish Nia Long's story had a bit more to it than it did.
I loved Brian, her little boyfriend
I
in this movie.
I love her
He
little
was so
boyfriend.
sweet.
I love him too.
Yeah.
He was a great guy, and
He
I'm
was
glad
great.
they were like their relationship was never really at risk in
Yeah.
the movie, but their relationship is like further affirmed
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like her whole story, other than just being sad that like things are happening with Mia and all that. Like she
more
feels
like
she's there.
She's more there to be additional conflict for Harper, because her and Harper had, a little fling as well back in their day. And so like where Nia Long comes in is that like she is like another obstacle for him and Sanaa Lathan's character, Robin, who's his wife, because Sanaa Lathan's like, I don't like Nia Long. Like, I don't want to be around her. You all clearly have some sort of chemistry, and like, it's stressing me out. You're so supportive to her, but you're not supportive to me.
Yeah.
And I'm your wife. And so like, that's kind of what Nia Long's there for. And not so much for her own development, but
Right.
more of like,
She's playing a role in other people's stories.
yeah, in their stories. So, I mean, I think she's utilized well. I would have liked to see more like of her own kind of story.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what this next show is, because now she's the godmother of Mia's children.
Yeah.
And so maybe we start to see a little bit more of, her development now that she has this new role since Mia has passed away.
Yeah, I would be really interested to watch that show because it's 8 episodes and there's so many people in this movie. And like we're saying, like part of your issue is like, little, or not your issue, but our issue is that like there's little going on with some of these characters.
Yeah.
And a show would give it, more space to breathe.
Yeah.
To give everybody their own particular arc.
Yeah.
That's more than just like 3 scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. But
All right.
fun show.
Yeah.
There's so many characters, and like you
Movie.
enjoy them all.
Fun movie.
Yeah.
Are there any other facts that you have?
No, I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, shall we move on to assignments?
Sounds good.
Okay. Who would like to assign first? This is our next episode is our final episode for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Our final holiday swap episode.
That puts the pressure on.
It does, and it also puts pressure on like what to assign during our hiatus. I still haven't decided what I'm going to give you during that time.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I'll go ahead and assign first. So to wrap up our holiday swap, I'm going to give you a little bit of a LGBTQ rom-com. Well, do you consider it a rom-com? I guess so. Rom-com.
Is there romance? Is there funniness?
Yeah.
Well,
So I'm giving you Happiest Season, which features Kristen Stewart and I don't know the other girl's name, unfortunately, and Dan Levy's in it.
Happiest Season.
Happiest Season.
Did you say Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, it came out on Hulu like a few years ago, I think.
Well, I guess I got to keep my Hulu subscription.
Yeah, at least until next week. So that's what I'm gonna give you.
All right, sounds good. Okay, I apologize in advance for what I'm giving you.
Oh no.
I am giving you the Star Wars Holiday Special from like 1978.
Oh no.
Infamous Holiday Special. But I do think you got to see it.
All right.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. Well, I'm assigning it to you either way. But
Yeah.
come this time next week, we might be saying like, all right, never again. Why would we ever watch that? But like there is some of that going on there. But there's some just kind of like, I don't know, artifact of history about it that I think is really interesting.
Got you.
So yeah, you'll look forward to that.
All right. So we got Happiest Season and the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes.
Goodness.
We'll see you then.
See you then.
Bye.